what it is. You settled, you negotiated, and the amount you get for the negotiation depends upon how well you can try the case. You get an ass kicking attorney and he's on the other side and you know what he can do, then the offers are going to be a lot higher. And when he starts talking about what he can do if you don't settle, then you can say, okay, yeah, that's when you talk to your client and the person you represent, say, well, that doesn't sound reasonable. It's a chance we'll win, but then again, it might really cost you. But, these days you've got people who settle cases for chump change and don't really know that much about what the hell they're doing, except, the rep is good on the press, but not necessarily good for America or for the people that they're representing. So let's see some people that have tried cases and kicked some ass in front of a jury. Let's see people that are responsible for litigation that has produced changes in the law. And I would say this: every single shred of law that you need to have absolutely equal rights with anybody else on this continent are already in place and have been for quite some time. And what the real problem is it's a social one. And you know what it is? It's called a kitchen table. There are no kids. Well, there are some, and they'll make it. But there are not enough kids who are sitting at the kitchen table, the dining room table, or at a desk inside where they live doing homework. And there's no white supremacist sitting across from them where they would be doing their homework if they did it to keep them down. And if you do your homework, it doesn't make the damn bit of difference where you are, who you are in this country. Look at the dynamics. You've got some recent immigrants, the Indian population. They have a median income of $100,500 a year per person. 72% of those 25 and under have a college degree. Black folk are at the very bottom of this. They make 34,000 plus, not quite 35,000 is a median income. And just 7% of them, 25 and under, have a college education. And that's a damn shame, especially when 160 years ago, the most heavily educated bunch of folk in the U.S. were black soldiers that
So
made up 1/3 of the Union Army.
what does
Now,
that have to do with Nolan Wells?
this has to do with this whole thing about what people are paying attention to. See, we get caught up on little small stuff like this. And then the other thing that it leads into is political power. If you get up off your ass and vote and stop waiting for somebody to give you a handout that you really shouldn't trust and vote that handout and not realize that that handout is produced by money changing hands, you'd get somebody in. And down in Mississippi, I used to speak to the Mississippi Sheriff's Association. And this has been,
I want to get to this.
but here's my point. I'm looking at all of the elected sheriffs in the state of Mississippi, and I'm looking at a situation where damn near half of them in the audience are black. You talked about this thing with Emmett Till, where the wife of the murderers should have been prosecuted, and everybody's hollering about white supremacy caused the charges to be dismissed. The person that dismissed the charges was the elected DA, and he was black. So for God's sake, at least get it right.
All right, so I want to do an update on Nolan Wells. So the recent update, the latest updates in this investigation into the 18-year-old death of Nolan Wells centered on newly released GPS boat tracking logs, distress call audio, and an agreement between the family and prosecutors for a joint digital forensic analysis of his cell phone. Ben Crump and Nolan Wells' family met with the DA, and they said it was a respectful meeting because they're trying to get down to the bottom of it. And I believe they're trying to assemble a grand jury. But I want to play this clip here and a couple other clips.
You know what bothers me about this? There may be wrongdoing, but you are setting a precedent that is very bad for this country. In other words, you are in your 20s, early 20s, late teens, and let's say young adulthood, you and some of the guys go out and somebody, you don't even see what happens, or maybe you do, and there's an accident, and now when somebody is grieving, everybody's supposed to be put in front of a grand jury, has to lawyer up and be nervous about dying, not dying, about getting prosecuted.
The friends that he was with that day, they lawyered up the very next day.
Well, they should. They're used to.
All right, so let me play this clip.
We continue to be steadfast and trying to get to the truth.
The parents of Nolan Wells and their legal team, led by attorney Ben Crump, say they received some assurances Wednesday about the thoroughness of the investigation. As tips pour in,
we're getting about 50 calls a day to 100 calls a day.
The 18-year-old college football player was last seen on July 4th on a boating trip with friends to Horn Island, 10 miles from Mississippi's Gulf Coast. GPS data obtained by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources shows the boat arriving at the island at 11:14 in the morning. Friends Wells was with told investigators he chose to stay behind on the island. Judge Ashley Cole says her son was on the boat. In a Facebook post, she said the boat had an issue and somebody made a call for help.
We're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking.
Wells' mother reported him missing later that night.
Please report her 18-year-old son, Nolan Wells, missing last seen at 3 on Horn Island.
After a 2-day search, his body washed up on the island.
If this was your son, if this was your daughter, wouldn't you want desperately to get to the truth?
For the family, there are so many unanswered questions about what happened that day, but they are moving forward with funeral plans set for next Monday for their son.
We want to celebrate Nolan. He would not want us to be sitting around crying and eating, and so what we're going to do is kind of have a party to celebrate him.
As for yesterday's meeting, the family's legal team, along with the DA's office, have agreed to a mutual inspection of Wells's cell phone. That could potentially be a key piece of evidence in this investigation. Meanwhile, the family is also still waiting for the results of a state-conducted autopsy, as well as the results of one that they are conducting independently as well. Attorney Crump told us yesterday that those results should come back very soon.
Now,
okay, let me say this. I played football at UCLA for a short while, played it in high school at Dorsey High in
We
LA.
continue to be.
And stop this guy.
yes, I got it. It was by accident.
And we drank beer, plenty of beer. Whenever we were out someplace, we drank a lot of it, all right? It sounds like somebody maybe was drinking here. All kinds of stuff happens when you drink. You're on a small boat and you're over some water. On some water. So let's see what happens first before everybody gets riled up. And see, I remember when law firms used to finance the investigations of cases, especially civil cases. So he's been collecting millions of dollars as his 50% share of all the settlements he's getting. So why doesn't he put some of that money up and hire a competent independent investigative staff to do a forensic check on what went on instead of relying on the police department if he's all this, that, and the other? I don't get it.
Well, there is, they do have an independent investigator.
Yeah, well, then get him to work.
And they also have an independent autopsy person doing
yeah, and what is that done with what this guy has had his hands on? Nothing. So anyway, get somebody on the ground, start knocking door to door. You might want to check and see if there's any satellite imagery, which is strong enough or powerful enough sometimes to pick up small boats and everybody that's in it and even read whatever they're reading on a magazine if you want to. So maybe there's some of that exists. They need to start ferreting that kind of thing out. Go canvass around, go knock on doors, go to the businesses on the island, start getting a list of people that may have seen something and see if anybody saw something wrong. See, I don't see this being done, and I haven't.
Well,
So I've seen some lackadaisical stuff, small knowledge of the law, smaller knowledge of how things work when it comes to the physical manifestation of a machine or circumstances.
all right, let me play this clip here.
Get to work if you want to do something, and then let us hear what you come up with.
All right, so I want to play this clip here because, now there are people coming out accusing Trump of being an ambulance chaser when it comes to cases.
Hey, why interject race before you get any information? To me, let me just say this, and I know people gonna clip this and and I don't care. I really feel this way. I'm getting sick of black people. Right, I like the black people like me and others that are conservative, that's smart, but the rest of y'all, I'm sick of y'all. It's hard to even want to be around black people, to be honest, because you try to give them a pass, you try to be nice, you try to say not every black person's like this. Yeah, no, people on TMZ ain't like this. Oh man, this person ain't like this. This person, man, they son done got killed and they pushing racism. This is the thing that bothers me. Like, we don't know what happened. They don't know what happened. They're doing an investigation. There was black kids there with him too. Why y'all act like y'all not even talking about the black kids, just the white ones? And then you got these people on here. Al Sharpton been pimping for I don't know how long. Y'all, that's why when black people make money, they move away from black people. They move to white neighborhoods. Let's keep it real. Y'all don't want to hear me say it, but I'm saying it. Where does LeBron live? They live where white people live. That coach just said, yeah, there's black kids. It's an all-white school. Everybody getting along. That's what happens at these white schools. White folks ain't worried about y'all like that. They doing their own thing. Every single white environment that I've been involved in, and ain't no drama. Nobody shooting, nobody stabbing, nobody hating on you, nobody doing none of that. White people doing their own thing. You put a bunch of black people together and they acting a fool. And I'm not saying it's every black person, but it seems like it's more prevalent than it is not. And I'm tired of it. Let's play this Al Sharpton crap that this fool doing. This is why people don't like black people. Even the girl that's talking on here. Like, when are y'all gonna get a better mind? This is such low energy, low vibration stuff. This is why black people are down here in society. Because our minds are down here. Everybody else's minds is just up here, thinking of greater things, thinking about how they're going to take advantage of the American dream. And they're not pushing racism every day. They're trying to unite with people. They're building companies and businesses, and their kids are going to school and getting educated. Even the Africans that come over here, they believe in education and doing what's right and getting married and all this high vibration stuff. And y'all still down here, the white man. Roll the clip. There's no evidence of foul play. And even if there was foul play, how do you figure it's got to do with race? Oh, because they're white people and so they're evil.
So before you comment, Judge, let me say this. The family is not and never did implement anything about race. And neither did Trump. Now, Al Sharpton, when they did that press conference, of course, that's just what he does, right?
He's a pimp.
Right. So, but however, because this took place in Mississippi, and people who know the history of Mississippi, it is a racial undertone, especially when it comes to black men and boys and some women and girls, but mainly black women and boys ending up being dead. And let's not go back to the 60s, 50s or slavery. Modern times in the 2000s, there have been several cases of young black men and older hanging from trees, and they're saying that it's suicide, and it was never a thorough investigation. So the state of Mississippi have a very long history of treating black deaths incomplete and just automatically ruin suicide. So there's a lot of questions there. And like I said, I've did a show, interview Ron B, who has been on the ground in Mississippi throughout the years, got flagged several times from YouTube when he was reporting on what was going on in Mississippi. So he comes with a lot of knowledge of speaking to the people, white and black, you know, doing investigative journalism, very thorough. And you know him personally.
Oh yeah, it's somebody I've been mentoring.
Yes, exactly. And Liz, I knew of you before me and you started doing shows by his YouTube channel. So y'all go way back. So
he was also befriended by the late Dick Gregory.
Yes.
Me and Dick Gregory used to talk, and we'd say he's fine.
Yep, I used to love those videos. Yeah. So there is a very racial undertone in Mississippi, and nobody can deny that. I understand what Brandon Tatum is saying here, and a lot of people are echoing that.
It's okay. I live within very close distance of Mississippi. I can get in my car and drive 10 minutes and I'm in Mississippi, literally. My first ex, who I don't like much, lives in Mississippi. My sons grew up in Mississippi. One of them went to Ole Miss. I've mentored a lot of people who went to Ole Miss, including one sister that at one point was Rupert Murdoch's personal lobbyist. We're still good friends. I know a lot of people that live in Mississippi. Years and years ago, I practiced law. I've seen Mississippi grow from a hellhole when I got in this area 55 years ago to something now where the state makes so much money that its educational system, get this, is quite a bit above that of California's. I know a lot of Memphians and other Tennesseans, black, who go through slapping relatives across the head to get to use their addresses so they can send their kids to Mississippi schools. I know what I saw when I spoke to the Mississippi Sheriff's Association that was composed of the elected sheriffs, and I know it was a pretty close mix of black and white. I've run into a lot of white folk I know that in other situations where you can count on them. And I say this, I'll hang with anybody, but if I'm going to a gas station and it's late at night, I'm not worried about some white kid jumping out and saying, stick 'em up, it's a holdup. That's not what's likely to happen. There is a certain dignity, a certain honor that goes along with public peace, dignity, and order that is understood by some people, but not by others. Not saying that all kids, youth of any description, don't act a fool sometimes and clown. That's part of growing up. Now, the thing that I don't like is it's a convenient excuse for personal failure, where you didn't sit across the table and do your homework from your parent or parents who didn't know what the hell you were studying anyway, because they didn't. It's not where you busted your ass trying to make it better. You tried to take the easy way out. It's not that you thought to get ahead and learn what the world was about. You wanted to go deal with the fantasy you had. You wanted to go make everything about your appearance rather than your essence and your character. It was about what somebody did to compensate you for your supposed loss when an ancestor you can't even think of the name of, never knew the name of, and nobody in your family remembers or even got told. Somehow what happened 160 years ago is supposed to impact why your trifling ass won't do the job you got paid to do, where you always trying to cut corners, and where you got all these baby mamas running around who don't want a husband, and you don't want to go deal with the situation because it's too damn expensive, where some of the folk that you got to deal with think the way to get somewhere is to live off the ladies, which is unmasculine, where you have so many that talk about crime is a black thing, so it's racist to lock folk up who have been criminals in hell. For the most part, it doesn't even make any sense because the victims of the crime look just like the perpetrators. So when somebody's a neighbor of yours and has burglarized you, stolen from your car, made your life a living hell from the disastrous behavior that they're dealing with out there, you're supposed to say, oh, we're all like that, so just let him out of jail. And then you got a Soros, a billionaire, running around trying to buy all the DA's office so he can let these fools out through the DAs that he owns so they can continue to deliver chaos so he can send his boys in to acquire properties, whether through mortgage foreclosure fraud or sale on a mortgage foreclosure that isn't fraudulent, or drive your tail out because nobody wants to live there anymore and he can make a lot of money off your dumb ass. So, yeah, it's bad.
So I want to play this clip here. This is Terrell Owens, former NFL player, pleading for Trump to get involved.
I understand his sentiment, but I'm offended. You know why I'm offended?
Why?
Because of all of the people that are dead, nobody gives a damn when their deaths were due to obvious homicides initiated by animus, initiated by robberies, initiated by carelessness, initiated by drugs. Nobody gives a damn. We've got the Memphis Safe Task Force. They've been here since October 2025, and crime is now down 52% from what it was last year. And we still have the local blue idiots, asses running around, jackasses running around talking about get it out of here, it's discriminating against black folk. Well, guess what? Damn near every black person I've talked to, except somebody that's got a popsicle stuck up his butt from the Democratic Party, is very glad that they don't have to feel such apprehension going to a gas station, going to a supermarket, going to a store, driving down the street when some errand requires that they be rounding about and out at late night. And they are upset about the fact that the previous crime problem has resulted in there ain't any black clubs in this town anymore. You know where the folk go if they want to party? To Mississippi. You know where we go around here if we want to hang out? The Happy Mexican. And it's some of the best service in town. The beer is cold, the drinks are strong, the food is good, and the service is fast. And that's where we go because there's nothing left in this town because of the black on black crime. Now, what happened here happens a lot. And I'm just a little perturbed that because of this opportunity, photo op opportunity to advance, you're helpless, you know, you need to be taken care of and you need us to take care of you, meaning the Democratic jackasses, you got done wrong. Well, what the devil are you supposed to do about it? So, like this guy, the first guy we heard from said, you know, it's not always a race thing. And the matter of fact, okay, my refrigerator is sitting out in the middle of the floor here because the guy that was dealing with it, his son got shot to death last year. It wasn't white people that shot him to death. Okay, a guy I work with is a videographer. He's lost 2 grown sons in the last 7 or 8 years. And it wasn't anybody white shot them to death, okay? Just got somebody, a close family friend, lost a loved one, and it wasn't anybody white that did it. It was an illegal that let in by the Biden administration, let go several times by the Biden administration did it, okay? I got my Porsche broken into, and I had to pay out a lot of money because, big deductible.
Well,
And looking at the video, it wasn't white people that broke into it. It was several black folk, along with 13 other cars besides mine on the occasion in question. Let's
all right.
see.
So no, let's swing it back
See,
now.
so what the hell are we going to do about the reality? Stop focusing on these distractions while these pimps like Sharpton, some of these folk that are running these pulpits who pulpit pimp, who want you to be miserable because that's how they get what clout they have going, convincing you that there is a cause for your misery besides your own sloth and lack of getting your stuff together. If you want to be on top of the game, look at what could have been done by just about every significant office in Shelby County being held by a black elected official.
So this is a clip of Tamir Rice's mother, and she was on Tasha K a couple months ago, and we still need to do a segment on Tamir Rice. But I just want to play this because she's specifically talking about her experience working with Ben Crump.
But I did not continue to work with Ben Crump. I think we worked together for about 8.5 months. I just felt that he was avalanche chasing. He knows that. I said it to his face all the time. Yeah, I told that to him. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, him and Al Sharpton and them, and I just didn't feel that he knew what he was doing. I was getting phone calls from other attorneys stating that he didn't know the law. I wasn't feeling good about it. We just wasn't getting the answers that I wanted or I needed. And I wasn't getting like paperwork when it came to motions being filed or even, contact. Anytime they contact with the prosecutor, I need to know everything was going on with my son. He was not getting no real justice.
So they were PR advocates, race baiting.
Yeah, I didn't know.
But there's no output.
There's no
it's
solutions.
Just like, there's a face, there's a name, say his name, Tamir Rice, but like when it comes to actually getting justice and suing the city, you had to go get somebody else to do that?
Yeah, I did. Ben Crump wasn't able to do that at the time. My wrongful docket was like 8 or 9 pages long.
With Ben Crump?
Yes. So when my third set of attorneys had got it, it ended up being 138 pages, 139 pages long. So I don't know what Ben Crump was doing. I don't know if he had the skills at the time to even take my case where it needed to be. I wasn't trying to get just hurry up and settle out of court. I really wanted you to go in there and fight. And then, they just say he wasn't a great talker back then. So I just kept getting phone calls about him. All of these folks, and nobody is showing us how to get no indictments. I had to let them know my son he's not a hustle. His death is not a hustle. So I just got a little aggravated because I kept seeing all of these activists doing things in memory of people's children, and we wasn't getting no real justice.
So that was Tamir Rice. Mom.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
But I did not.
I'm sorry.
I don't have anything to add. I could put some more negatives on that, but I won't. But let me just say this. When you start talking about you want justice for your loved ones, sometimes the justice would have to be against the cosmos or God, in whatever form you envision that entity or that spirit to be. Mm-hmm. And there's no way you can, because it's just one of those things. Like Einstein refused to accept at one point when it came to quantum mechanics. He said he could not accept that God played dice with the universe. But perhaps that's what happens sometimes, and you just happen to be the victim of the wrong dice throw. And you see, here's the thing, too. This is interesting because in the first time in this country's history, first time in world history, it's relatively safe to be alive. See, when I was in my teens in college, a whole lot of people I'd just graduated from high school with lost an arm, leg, both legs, face, dead in the Nam. There were a lot of gang-related killings all through high school. I think I saw 14, 15 people murdered within 15, 20 yards of where I was standing by the time I was 16 years old. Everybody had dealt with World War II, Korea, World War I, and people they knew died. And then there was the frontier. We had people who were young adults when the frontier was still going on, and it was a very easy way to die back then. So now it's safe, and people really aren't attuned thanks to modern medicine with what death's about. They aren't used to it. So they get freaked when it happens. And sometimes the only justice you would be able to get, if there was anything, which right now there's nothing that exists that can do that, saying God, saying universe, cosmos, you did me wrong. And that's why we have religion, to be able to get over that kind of thing happening so we don't get all bent out of shape.